Welcome everyone to our webinar submitting to NIH SBIR STTR proposals. I'm Carolina Martinez from Colmena 66. Colmena 66 is a referral network, a program from the Puerto Rico Science and Technology Trust. We connect entrepreneurs with the resources they need to start or grow their business. I would like to first introduce Iber Collazo, Director of SBA in Puerto Rico, who would like to give you a welcoming remarks as they're the host of this webinar.
We're in tight quarters here. Good morning. Thank you so much. I want to just take a moment to welcome everyone, and also thank Colmena and also the Puerto Rico Science Trust for being partners in this webinar today. And a special thanks also to NIH for taking the time to deliver this kind of webinar for companies in Puerto Rico. The SBIR program is one that I know that the Colmena and also the Puerto Rico Science Trust, as well as us and SBA and our resource partners, have really tried to push in the last years. And we're hoping that it will continue to gain traction and more companies, small businesses, are ready and willing and able to participate. So thank you very much for being here. I hope this will be the first of many other webinars. And anyway, ask a lot of questions for those companies that are participating. And again, welcome. Thank you.
I will now introduce our speakers, but first of all, remember that we're gonna have a section for questions. So feel free to put your questions in the chat and we'll gladly answer them. Our first speaker is Andreika Maldonado. And after living in the mainland United States for 6 years, Andreika Maldonado returned to her homeland to join Parallel 18 as a startup executive. At Parallel 18, Andreika managed a group of 16 startups during each cohort, meeting with them on a daily basis and executing the acceleration curriculum effectively, which includes measuring weekly growth through KPI meetings. She also was in charge of reviewing and analyzing startup performance and developing midpoint evaluations. In addition, she connected the most prominent startup with investors, mentors, companies, and universities, and ensured that the grants were dispersed and spent wisely by the entrepreneurs. Previously, she was a project manager and senior program coordinator at Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey's Center for Leadership and Management. At Rutgers, she managed the New Jersey County Welfare Agency's Leadership and Management Development Project. In that capacity, she conducted research, produced reports, and delivered presentations at each of the state's 21 counties. She also has experience in working with disparate communities cohorts, including seniors, women, and adolescents in New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Puerto Rico. Andreika holds a BA in General Social Sciences from the University of Puerto Rico at Mayagüez and a master's degree in nonprofit and public management from the Rutgers University School of Social Work. Our next speaker is Thomas Allnutt, PhD is the CEO and SCO and CSO of Brio Biotech LLC, a small business focused on improved health and nutrition for aquaculture and terrestrial animals. He has experience in industrial research and commercialization of the products produced through his research, expertise in algal and microbial technology with broad knowledge of related areas, inventor of more than 17 patents issued on or pending and published, and more than 45 peer-reviewed papers. His previous positions were as Senior VP of Research and Development at FICO Inc., Program Director of the National Science Foundation SBIR STTR Program Biotechnology Group, and Research Director at Market Biosciences and VP of Research and Development at Advanced Bionutrition. Online also, we have Juan Figueroa from the Puerto Rico Science and Technology Trust. He has a bachelor's degree from the University of Puerto Rico and a PhD in physics from the State University of New York. He is consultant to the Puerto Rico Science Technology Research Trust and retired from the National Science Foundation as program director in the SBIR program for over 11 years. He has been a part of the introduction of new technologies such as cable modem, Wi-Fi, and Ethernet, among others. I will now leave you with Andreika Maldonado.
So good morning, everybody. As Carolina said, I'm Andreika Maldonado. I'm currently the program manager at the grants program at the Puerto Rico Science, Technology, and Research Trust. And today I'm going to talk about what we're doing at the trust and how we are collaborating with SBIR. Before I start, I would like to let you know that we are a private nonprofit organization that was created in 2004 to encourage and promote innovation, transfer and commercialization of technology, and creation of jobs in the technology sector. We're responsible for Puerto Rico public policy for science, technology, research, and development. Our mission is that we invest, facilitate, and build capacity to continually advance Puerto Rico's economy and its citizens' well-being through innovation-driven enterprises, science and technology, and its industrial base. Our mission is that by 2022, Puerto Rico is a global recognized innovation hub that develop, attracts, and retain scientists and technology entrepreneurs and enterprises to unlock world-class creativity and competitiveness. Now at the grants program, our mission is to provide incentives for R&D activity to further the trust overall mission. And we provide proof of concept funding to advance local developed science and technology projects to the point where they can obtain alternative sources of funding or be commercialized. So the mission of the Puerto Rico Science Trust and the mission of SBIR are synergistic, and this is why we are collaborating. And I want to point out what is the mission of SBIR, that is to support scientific excellence and technological innovation through the investment of federal research funds in critical American priorities to build strong national economy, one small business at a time. We've been collaborating with SBIR since 2015, and comparing with other states, we're not sending enough applications in life sciences. It is important to point out that Puerto Rico has the resources and support to help people that are interested in applying to an SBIR grant. The 4 goals of the SBIR programs are to meet federal research and development needs, increase private sector commercialization of innovation derived from federal research and development funding, to, of course, stimulate technological innovation, and to foster and encourage participation in innovation and entrepreneurship by socially and economically disadvantaged persons. So since we're a minority, we also have more chances to get a good grant. And SBIR has a 3.0% of the extramural research budget allocated for all agencies with a budget greater than 100 million per year in research. This is going to be growing 3.2% by 2018. So SBIR supports R&D and finances of cutting-edge technology, and right now their budget is approximately of 2.5 billion. So there's money. My point is that there's a lot of resources and we should take advantage of that. We also have the STTR program, and the STTR program is a sister set-aside program to facilitate cooperative R&D between small businesses and U.S. research institutions. And I can tell you that one of the programs that the Peer Science Trust has is Parallel 18, and they were able to have this entrepreneur, they connected it with a research institution, and they applied to SBIR. And also Juan Figueroa, that is one of the resources, he assisted them in the application. So take advantage of Juan Figueroa, he's connected, but I will give you more information later. And from now on, if I mention SBIR, I mean SBIR and STTR, like they run at the same time. And now I'm gonna explain how the process of a SBIR works. It's a gated process with 3 phases. The first phase is concept development. And the objective of this phase is to establish technical merit, feasibility, and commercial potential of proposed R&D efforts, and to determine the quality of performance of the small businesses or the organization prior providing further federal support in phase 2. SBIR phase 1 awards normally do not exceed from $150,000 for 6 months. Phase 2, the objective of phase 2 is to continue the R&D efforts initiated in phase 1. So funding is based on the results achieved on phase 1 and the scientific and technical merit and commercial potential of the project proposed in phase 1. It is important to point out that in order to apply to phase 2, you need to be an awardee of phase 1. So it's like you cannot just go directly to phase 2. You need to go through the process. And the award do not exceed $1 million for 2 years. And the final phase is phase 3, that is for commercialization, but SBIR do not give the funding. The ones that give the funding are some federal agencies that may involve a follow-up non-SBIR funded R&D or production contracts for products, processes, or services intended for the US government. So if you do well in phase 1 and phase 2, then you can get help from the US government, and they may even use the project that you're intending to commercialize. And I would like now to let you know that at the Trust, we have a 1-to-1 matching fund for phase 1. So let's say you apply to the phase 1 in SBIR, we can match those funds up to 100K. So that's amazing. Again, we have a lot of resources in the island, take advantage of that. And we can also give you a support letter. Our goal right now is to send 50 proposals, so to get 50 proposals approved per year. And the proposals must be well written, so we have also resources for that. So if you have any issues writing the grant or the proposal, Juan Figueroa is an amazing resource and he can assist you with that. And also, one of the recommendations that our CEO will give you is that you should look for previous grant applications that won the SBIR in order to get collaboration and understand the mechanics on how it works, etc. So you just get examples and then it will be a better application. And here you can see the agency's distribution. On the left side of the presentations, there are the awards by agencies before the trust involvement. And on the right, you can see the awards by agencies since the trust involvement. Again, we've been collaborating with SBIR since 2015. And I really want to point out here the examples of HHS and NSF. If you see the funds since fall 2015, we can observe a 51% increase of what took 30 years. So after the trust got involved, we got a 51% increase in funds. And in awards, we got a 31%. So again, we are extremely committed with this. And one of the things that I want to say is that our commitment is to improve these numbers, and these charts are showing that we're committed and that in 2 years we grew all of this. Again, we aim to increase our participation and winning the NIH SBIR STTR program. And we have extensive support. Right now we have SBA, SBTDC Y Guayacán, Colmena, Rico, Puerto Rico Science, Technology, and Research Trust. That I want to point out that Colmena, it's a program within the trust, so we work together, and others. So if you have any questions or if you're interested in applying for one of these grants. We have all of these resources and they're free. That's the most important thing. So if you have any questions, you can contact, I have an email at the end of the presentation, SBIR@PRScienceTrust.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelica. We now have Thomas Alnut. As I mentioned, he's the CEO and CSO of Brio Biotech, a small business focused on improvement of health and nutrition for aquaculture and terrestrial animals. He has experience in industrial research and commercialization of the products produced through his research, expertise in algal and microbial technology with broad knowledge of related areas, inventor of more than 17 patents issued or pending, and published more than 45 peer-reviewed papers. His previous positions were as Senior VP of R&D at FICO Inc., Program Director of the National Science Foundation SBIR STTR Program Biotechnology Group, and Research Director at Market Biosciences and VP of Research and Development at Advanced Bionutrition. Thomas will talk about how to win and make an excellent proposal. So here's Thomas.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
We can hear you.
You can? Okay, good.
Yes.
So we're really focusing here on NIH, and I wanted to clarify the funding. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So the Congress has authorized to go up to 50% over the normal budget for a phase one. So the normal budget is $150,000, but NIH is without any real waiver, you can get $225,000 for a phase one. So I just wanted to clarify that. And the phase two can be $1.5 million. So it's actually a very lucrative and decent amount of money to help a small business get some technology into the marketplace. NIH has a pretty substantial SBIR funding. So if your project requires more than these two limits, you can actually go in and talk to the program officer and get a waiver. So be aware that these are just these are the kind of statutory limits, but you can actually get a waiver if you need more funding. So the NIH is a lot more flexible than some of the other agencies in their funding because some of these biological and life sciences technologies need a whole lot of money to get into the market. The other thing to also understand is while they don't fund phase three, the NIH does have the ability to fund some clinical trials through the SBIR program. It's worth thinking about if once you get into this phase one, phase two, you can actually apply to get more money to help get your product into market. So it's a really nice and high value compared to like NSF or USDA. So be aware that there's a lot of flexibility in NIH to kind of, I won't say break the rules, but to bend the rules to get your work done. If you are trying to submit an NIH grant, SBIR grant, you need to get in and register. There's lots of different agencies and websites and things that you have to register for. And grants.gov is one. The ERA Commons is another. That's an NIH website. I was surprised how long it took to get done. It can take up to a month for them to actually get you on. So get your company registered on ERA Commons very quickly. Once you get registered and they send you all the information, there's a lot of information you've got to fill out, get going, then your authorized representative, the ARO, has to get your PI on ERA Commons. and allow them to submit the grant. You then need to go to the NIH and get a topic. Each FOA, this is the request for fund proposal. Each of these FOAs that come out have a very long list of topics. Go in and find the topic that fits your technology. Don't try to fit a square peg into a round hole. There are lots of topics out there. Look, find one, select it. It's a good idea to do this way far ahead and talk to the program manager and find out if what they really are asking for fits your technology. It's much better to talk to the program manager ahead of time and get that if you can. Don't wait till the last minute. You need to register with the SBA, and so they can certify that you are a small business. Again, this can take some time. Do it now. Register with SAM. SAM is basically the federal government funding arm. Once you get funded, you have to go through SAM. This is it's a very, very complicated website, but you can do it yourself. My sister is an artist, and she wanted to do some federal work, so she got SAM, and then somebody sold her we'll help you register for SAM for like $500. This is free. Do not pay any money for this. Please, when you register SAM, go ahead and just, it's like TurboTax. You go in, you just answer a bunch of questions, but do it yourself. You can do it. It is possible. Is it easy? No, it's kind of a pain in the neck, but just go ahead and do it yourself. It's just answering a bunch of questions about your company. Grants.gov is the portal on which you both get the topic and the information on applying for the grant, and it also is where you load up the grant. They now have something called workspaces. It used to be when you put a grant in, you would download the whole FOA and all the forms and everything else. You would get them all together, fill them out on your computer, and then you would just upload them. That does not work anymore. As of January 1st of this year, you have to go through workspaces. Workspaces, I found it less intuitive than I expected, but it does work, and it is kind of like TurboTax once you get through to the FOA that you want. So go in, download the funding opportunity that you want, then you have to go back onto work to grants.gov, and you have to search for your workspace. And there's something called Manage Workspaces. You click on that. You would think if you click on that, it would open up the things that you've downloaded, but that's not how it works. So you actually click on it, and then you have to search for the FOA that you've already downloaded. That's the part that kind of got me when I first started using workspaces, but it's pretty easy once you figure that out. What will happen then is it will open it up, and every single form will be there, and you will just fill it out as you would for TurboTax. Grants.gov also allows you to do a generalized search for topics that are of interest to you. So you can actually just put the technology area that you're interested in and search, and it will search all agencies. You can narrow that down to NIH, and since we're talking about NIH today, I would say narrow it down. But it's really actually a very nice little area to find out how to, what's available and what the funding is. So get familiar with grants.gov, do it well before you want to use it. As I said also earlier, fill out all of the forms, and get all of the prior website registrations done well in advance. I wanted to talk a little bit about tailoring your grants to NIH. I've been funded through NIH and USDA and NSF, as well as DoD, and every agency is different. What NIH does is the program officer and NIH researchers get together and they think up what the topic should be on the request for proposals, the FOA. And so they get together, they make it up, they write what the topics are, and then the program officer is the one who helps set the FOA up and get it done each year. When you answer a topic and you send in a proposal, it does not go to the program officer. It goes to the review to be for the Center of Scientific Review. So the program officer now has no say. They're often in the room at the panel, but they sit off to the side. And it is run by a head of the panel, and they all talk about all the proposals in this particular panel. And usually the panel are stuck on a particular topic, which is good. But they're not SBIR only panels. So sitting around this room can be a whole lot of people who really have no idea about small business. And NIH, in contrast to the National Science Foundation, really, at least for phase one, really isn't thinking much about business. And that is so different than NSF. So you've got to realize who is going to be sitting in the room reviewing that proposal. And for the most part, it's not an SBIR panel. So it's going to be a panel that has a bunch of academics that are looking at other, basically very basic research projects. And it's not fair. I mean, it's apples to oranges comparisons, but you're being compared as it goes along, and they don't really think about business. So when, if you had been to a previous panel at the Trust that talked about the National Science Foundation, we were really focused on the business that you're doing and how it's going to affect the marketplace. For phase one NIH proposals, that has very little importance. These reviewers are mostly academic. They are looking for innovation and transformational science. They're not really looking for business proposition. So be aware of who your audience is. Again, that program officer, that SBIR program officer, is sitting on the side and is not contributing to this review. So what is the impact of the way the NIH reviews these proposals, the SBIR, on your proposal and how you tailor this proposal for the NIH? And what it is, there's a conflicting mission here. The SBA, which is the general overall oversight of the SBIR, STTR programs, they really are small business focused. They're focused on getting technology into the marketplace, as you heard earlier. They really want to see technologies kind of translational science. They're looking at getting, from the lab into the market. NIH, on the other hand, for the vast majority of the work that they do, is really focused on basic research. And a lot of these are going to be the guys who are sitting in judgment of your phase one. So realize that they're looking for innovation. They are looking for preliminary data, because that's how they write their grants. So really double down when you're writing this phase one for the NIH. Double down on the research. Really put in as much preliminary data as you can. Really dig into the meat of the innovation. What is your innovation? How are you shaking up the research? Not if this was NSF, you would focus on the marketplace, but this is NIH. You don't need to focus on the marketplace. Having an academic collaborator in your research team really makes an impact in getting this phase one approved. Why is that? Because you have a bunch of academic reviewers sitting in judgment of your grant. So having an academic collaborator is a good thing. It kind of shows that you're reaching out to the research community, and they like that. You should mention the business. NIH is being tasked to get products to the market, but in phase one, they just don't really focus on that. But I would say, if you put a half a page in talking about the business opportunity, that's a good thing. I have been working with the Trust in the past, looking at some of the proposals, and what I get from you guys is essentially two extremes. I get just a straight academic proposal, which actually would probably do pretty well in an NIH, and then I get a really business proposal, which would just get destroyed in the phase one. So you need to talk about the business in the NIH proposal, but a very small amount. In the phase 2, however, you will have to have a commercialization plan. So that's totally different. We're talking now about phase 1. So be aware, in phase 1, you're going to be reviewed mostly by academic reviewers. You really need to double down on the research. You really need to show how the innovation of your technology is not in the marketplace, but in the research sphere. And again, if you have an academic collaborator, it's a big plus. In the NIH, which was a surprise to me since I just applied for one, you only have 6 pages to do everything. And the reviews come back fascinatingly, you didn't get to cover all the background. Well, you got to cover all the background. You've got to describe the research aims that you're going to do, and you've got to describe how you're going to do them. And you have to do this in a very succinct and very tight form because you only have 6 pages. 6 pages goes awfully fast. I am used to, putting some figures in and everything else. It's really hard. It's very hard to do. Also, you want to talk about putting your preliminary data in. It's hard to get this all in 6 pages. But if you don't, the reviewers are going to cream you. So review the background. You know your field. If you don't know your field, then you're in trouble because the people reviewing it will know your field. A lot of these guys are experts in the field, and if you don't hit the critical parts of the technology you're doing that's already done, they're going to kill you. So know what's out there already, know how your innovation fits in that, and succinctly summarize that for the background. Phase 1 is a feasibility study. What you're doing in phase 1 is you're saying, what are the critical pieces of research that need to be done in order for this technology to be done? NIH, again, these are academic reviewers. If you do a hypothesis-driven discussion of how you're going to get your research done, that really goes over well. So state your hypothesis, say why the hypothesis is important to the feasibility of this project, and then put, again, this is a phase 1, it's only $225,000 for 6 months. Only put 3 tasks, or, don't put 20 tasks, but like 3 succinct tasks that answer the feasibility of the problem being addressed. So it's really important to do that. The grants.gov submission is the first step. So go through your workspace, submit all the stuff for your grant, and then you will click submit to the NIH, and grants.gov will churn away, and they'll send you an email saying, hey, it's submitted. What happens then is it is administratively reviewed at the NIH pretty quickly. And they will say, hey, listen, everything's fine, which is not usual. Or it will say, you have a bunch of errors and we will not accept this until you fix it. This is why you should not do this on the last day. So what happens is they will give you a link. That link will take you to the NIH's Assist program. And you'll log in there and you will start answering all of the warnings and errors that were found on the administrative review. I found that it was a very nice program. It's nice to have them say, hey, listen, this doesn't fit, and so you don't get administratively kicked out later. But it takes time, so don't do this on the last day. I would submit a couple days early so that NIH has time to administratively review your proposal, get back with the things that will prevent it from being reviewed so that you can answer them quickly and get it back in before their deadline. You will go in and they will very specifically point out warnings and things that have to be corrected. You will correct them and assist. You get them all done and they'll finally say everything's fine. And then up will come a thing that puts you back into grants.gov. So realize it's not Assist that you're in. You're logging back into grants.gov, and grants.gov will resubmit this proposal for you. So I found this very different than the NSF and USDA. I liked it a lot. It's really nice because it gets you in quickly and says everything administratively passes. So I like their Assist. I think it was a very good innovation. The only thing that kind of threw me for a loop at the end was that you're still on assist and you end up having to actually go back into grants.gov. So realize that final picture is not not assist, it's grants.gov. And that's pretty much my stuff. I figure right now we'll answer questions.
Thank you, Tom. Are there any questions? Feel free to ask any questions in the chat, in the available chat, and we have a time now to answer any questions.
No.
Well, if there's
No.
Remember that the Puerto Rico Science Trust has available resources to help you through the proposal phase. And we're gladly to help you with that. We have our resource Juan Figueroa and the grants office as well. Remember that Colina 66 can connect you with the available resources once you have your product commercialized. And if there's no further questions, let's get those 50 SBIRs for Puerto Rico. Thank you and have a good weekend.